Salve, discipuli et discipuli. I hope your summer is going well. What I want to do is go through the first reading passage for stage 6. It's called Pugna, which is a fight. I'll start by reading through the passage in Latin. Try to follow along with me and maybe try to whisper read the passage as I read it. Let's go ahead and begin. Clemens in foro ambilabat. Turba maxima erat in foro. Servi et ancillae cibum emebant. Multi pistores panem vendebant. Poeta recitabat. Mercator Graecus contentionem cum agricola habebat. Mercator iratus pecuniam postulabat. Subito agricola Graecum pulsavit, quod Graecus agricolum vituperabat. Pompeiani redebant, et agricolum incitabant. Clemens postquam clamorum audivit, ad pugnam festinavit. Tandem agricola mercatorum superavit, et e foro agitavit. Pompeiani agricolum fortum laudaverant. All right, there's a passage in Latin. You may want to rewind the video and read it along again. That's up to you. Let's go ahead and start off the second thing, let's try to work our way through the passage. And one thing you can do is to look at the verbs more closely. So in the first sentence, we have that verb right there, ambilabat. And you may want to do that. You may want to go through the whole passage and underline all of the verbs. Remember, our verbs end in O, S, T, or NT. And we're trying to focus between the verbs that have that B, like ambilabat, which shows that they were doing it in the past. So that's that imperfect tense. And then we're trying to separate those from just the regular past tense verbs like pulsavit, which just is regular perfect tense where we just add an ed. On Schoology, I posted 2 videos that explain the difference between the perfect and imperfect, so you may want to go back and watch those videos. All right, let's jump right into the first sentence. Clemens in foro ambilabat. So our subject is Clemens, and then I jump over to the verb, and that's ambilabat. So Clemens was walking in the forum. All right, second sentence. Turba maxima erat in foro. I start with my subject, a turba maxima, and that's a large crowd. Here I don't have an action verb, I have a to be verb, and that to be verb is erat. So it was. A large crowd was in foro. You probably guessed it, in the forum. Next sentence. Servi et ancillae cibum emebant. Start with the subject. I have et, which means and, so I have 2 subjects, and one is a group of men, the other is women, so we have servi et ancillae, so that's the slaves and slave girls. Then I have my verb. Okay, that verb has a B on it, so I know that it's someone was verbing in the past. Emebant comes from emet, which means to sell. So the slaves and slave girls were selling. Sorry, not selling. I messed up. Emet means to buy. They were buying food. Cibum is food. So servi et ancillai kibum and mebant means slaves and slave girls were buying food, which is what they would usually do in the morning. Next sentence. Multi pistores panem vendebant. I can identify my subject at the beginning, multi pistores. And if you remember back to previous lesson, a pistores is a baker. Multi means many, so many bakers. Then I jump over to my verb. I notice my verb has a be, so it's someone was verbing something. This verb is vendebant. I think of a vending machine, so this is the word for selling. So many bakers were selling panem, bread. Next sentence. Poeta recitabat. Really short sentence, shouldn't be too difficult. I know one word's my subject, one word is my verb. Here's my verb. Poeta is pretty simple, poets. And recitabat has that be, so I know it's the poets were reciting. So in this scene in the forum, Claymanes is walking around. There's a big crowd. Slaves and slave girls are buying bread or food. We have some bakers selling bread. And in the midst of that, we have some poets even reciting poetry. So it's a very busy scene. Next sentence. Mercator Graecus cantionem cum agricola habebat. Long sentences like this, it helps to find your subject. Usually the subject is going to come first. So we have a Mercator Graecus. And we've seen both of these words throughout the book. A mercator is a merchant. Graecus is a Greek. Put it together, a Greek merchant. And I'm going to jump to the end of the sentence where I'm usually going to find my verb. So you have habebat. Okay, I see the be. So I know it's someone was verbing. So the Greek merchant was having. Habebat. Bat is the word for have. So a Greek merchant was having. Then I go to find my direct object. And it ends with, do you remember? Yep, you're right, an M. So my direct object is contentionem. And if I look at the side, it's an argument. So a Greek merchant was having an argument, cum agricola, with a farmer. Agricola, the way I remember it, is we get our word agriculture from that word. So it's with a farmer. Next sentence. Mercator eratus pecunium postulabat. Okay, start off again looking for that subject. Frequently comes at the beginning, so I know my subject's a mercator. Then I see eratus next to it. And I know that eratus is angry. Probably go together. So you have a mercator eratus, an angry merchant. Then I jump to my verb. Hopefully you can identify it. Postulabat. It has that be, so I know it's imperfect. It means someone was verbing. Postulabat is on the side over here. Okay, postulabat was demanding. So the angry merchant was demanding money. Now I have to kind of fill in the blanks that this angry merchant is that Greek merchant. And he's demanding money from that agricola, which is, you got it, a farmer. So this angry Greek merchant demanding money from a farmer. Subito agricola Graecum pulsavit. Quod Graecus agricolum vituperabat. I find it helpful to have when a sentence has a comma, to do the first part and then go to the second part. So we have this word that starts off the sentence, subito, which means suddenly. And then we have agricola, which means farmer. And next to it we have Graecum. Now the trick here is to not put those two together because Graecum ends with an M, and so I know it's my direct object. So it's not a Greek farmer, it's that the farmer's doing something to the Greek merchant. Okay, so my subject is agricola. I'm going to jump to my verb, which I already underlined at the beginning, pulsavit. Now that has a V in it, So I know it's just the past tense, ed. If I don't know what it means, I look at the side. Posawit means to hit or punch. Wow, this is getting violent. Suddenly, a farmer punched the Greek. And I have to fill in the blank, the Greek merchant. So now the farmer in this argument over money starts hitting the Greek merchant. Let's find out why in the second part. Quod, because. And then in this second half, I have a new subject, a new verb, and a direct object. Graikos is my subject because the Greek. Then we have our verb with tu parabat, which has that be, so I know it's imperfect. Someone was verbing. So the Greek was with tu parabat means to curse. So because the Greek was cursing the farmer, the agriculum, and I know that agriculum is my direct object because it has that M. So let's put it all together. Subito, suddenly, Agricola, the farmer, posawit, punched Graicum, the Greek. Why? Quod, because Graikos, the Greek, with tu parabat, cursed, or was cursing, Agriculum, the farmer. So suddenly the farmer punched the Greek merchant because the Greek merchant was cursing the farmer. Next sentence. Pompiani redebant et agriculum incitabant. Subject, Pompeians. Again, this has a comma, so I'm going to break it into two parts. The Pompeians, what were they doing? Redebant. They were laughing. The B tells me it's imperfect. Were laughing. And I guess that'd be a funny scene if you saw it. Et agriculum incitabant. The temptation here would be to make agriculum your subject, but you can't because it ends in an M. So I know my subject is still the Pompeians. Okay? And what were the Pompeians doing? I know it has a be, the verb, so they were doing something. I look on the side, and it says we're urging on, encouraging someone. So the Pompeians were laughing and urging on the farmer. Now remember, the farmer is the one who hits the Greek. So they're encouraging him to keep hitting the Greek. Next sentence. Clamanes. Postquam clamorum audivit ad pugnam festinavit. Okay, clamanes is our subject. But then we have these comma section, this clause in the middle that we need to translate before we get to the rest of the sentence. So clamanes. Postquam clamorum audivit. Postquam means when or after, and if you didn't know that, it's right here on the side. When, and this little clause has its own verb and direct object. Okay, audivit, I think of audio. Since it has a V, I know it's not hears, but heard. So clamanes, when he heard what? Well, here's my direct object with the M. When he heard the uproar, which is what clamorum means. So clamanes, comma. When he heard the uproar. Now we finish the sentence. Ad pugnam festinavit. Okay, festinavit has a V, so I know I'm just going to add an ed to the verb. Festinavit's on the side, so it means he hurried ad pugnam, to the fight. Let's put it all together. Clamanes, when he heard the uproar, hurried to the fight. All right, second to last sentence. Tandem agricola mercatorum superavit et ephoro agitavit. Tandem is an adverb that means at last or finally. Our subject is the farmer, the agricola. So the farmer, I jump to my verb, superavit. Okay, ends in a V, so I know it's a perfect. It's a past tense, someone verbed. So finally, or at last, the farmer Superavit means, if you look on the side, it means to overpower. So it's overpowered the merchant. So he hit him, overpowered him, beat him up. Et ephoro agitavit. If you look at the bottom, agitavit means to chase. So he chased him out of the forum. Okay, so the farmer overcame the merchant and chased him out of the forum. Okay, and again, that verb has a V, so I know it's a simple past tense. Last sentence. Pompiani agriculum fortum laudaverunt. Subject is at the beginning, the Pompeians. I'm going to jump to my verb. Laudaverunt has that V, so I know it's perfect tense. So the Pompeians, laudo, you're going to have to remember from a previous lesson, means to praise. So I'm going to add an ed. The Pompeians praised. And my words ending in an M tells me who they praise. Agriculum fortum, the brave farmer. So the Pompeians praised the brave farmer. All right, that's our scene about the fight. We have this very busy scene in the forum, people buying, people selling. In the midst of that, there's an argument between a Greek merchant and a farmer over money. The farmer starts beating up the Greek. He gets encouraged by the crowd. Claymanes rushes over to see the fight, like middle schoolers also do. But by the time he gets there, the farmer has overcome the merchant, the Greek merchant, and chased him out of the forum. And the Pompeians praise him. Make sure you're studying your vocabulary on Quizlet. Continue if you have questions. Just put the questions on Schoology, and I will try to answer them. I do check Schoology. Sorry I've been so slow about getting videos out, and I hope to do better. And again, I hope you are enjoying your summer. And that's our second Latin video.